You did what now? Admiral Sarah Chen's voice dripped with a mixture of disbelief and barely contained rage as she addressed the holographic projection of the Galactic Council's representative. The alien, a tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin and far too many eyes for Sarah's comfort, had the decency to look uncomfortable. Well, as uncomfortable as a being with no discernible facial features could look. We, may have accidentally vaporized one of your younglings, the alien, who had introduced itself as Zix El Nax. Sarah had mentally dubbed it Zipper for sanity's sake, replied with a nervous flutter of its tentacle-like appendages. Sarah pinched the bridge of her nose, exhaling slowly. "Let me get this straight," she said, her tone deceptively calm. "You accidentally vaporized a human child." Zipper's hologram bobbed in what might have been a nod. "It was an unfortunate incident during our routine scanning of primitive worlds. We didn't realize your species had achieved spaceflight capabilities." At this, Sarah couldn't help but let out a bark of laughter. It wasn't a pleasant sound, Primitive. "Oh, that's rich. And how exactly does one accidentally vaporize a child? During a scan?" The alien shifted uncomfortably. "Our scanning technology is quite advanced. Sometimes it can have unintended effects on less developed life forms." Less developed? Sarah's eyebrow twitched. "I'll show you less developed. You overgrown calamari." She took a deep breath, reminding herself that starting an interstellar war over name-calling probably wasn't the best course of action. "All right, Zipper. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me the exact coordinates of where this accident occurred. And then you're going to pray to whatever cosmic squid you worship that we don't decide to show you just how primitive we really are." Zipper's hologram flicked nervously. "Admiral Chen, I assure you the Galactic Council meant no harm. We are willing to offer compensation." "Compensation." Sarah's laugh was sharp enough to cut diamond. "Oh, that's cute. You think you can put a price tag on a human life? Let me tell you something. Calamari Jack, we humans have a saying, hell hath no fury like a mother's score now. Imagine an entire planet of very pissed-off honorary parents. That's what you're dealing with right now." The alien's tentacles writhed in what Sarah assumed was distress. "Good. But we are the Galactic Council," Zipper protested weakly. "We oversee thousands of star systems. Surely you don't mean to challenge us." Sarah's grin was all teeth and no humor. "Challenge you? Oh no, my Galatinus friend. We're going to do something much worse. We're going to educate you." With that ominous declaration, Sarah cut the transmission, leaving a very confused and increasingly worried alien diplomats staring at empty space. As soon as the hologram disappeared, Sarah's composed facade crumbled. She slumped in her chair, running a hand through her salt and pepper hair. "Fucking hell," she muttered to the empty room of all the ways for first contact to go. She allowed herself exactly 30 seconds of despair before straightening up. There was work to be done. "Computer," she called out, "get me a secure line to the President, and while you're at it, initiate Protocol Lazarus." The AI's smooth voice responded immediately. "Connecting you to the President, Admiral. And are you sure about Protocol Lazarus that hasn't been used since we mothballed the fleet?" "I know," Sarah cut in, "but if there was ever a time to wake the sleeping giants, it's now." As the computer worked to establish the connection, Sarah's mind raced. The Galactic Council, who would have thought humanity had been preparing for first contact for decades? But this was not how anyone had envisioned it going. The secure line crackled to life, and President Adebayo's voice filled the room. "Admiral Chen, what's the situation?" Sarah took a deep breath. "Madam President, you might want to sit down for this halfway across the galaxy in a room that defied Euclidean geometry. The being known to humans as Zipper was having a very bad day. You told them what the voice of the council elder boomed, causing ripples and ripples. In the very fabric of space-time, Zipper's tentacles curled in on themselves in a gesture of extreme distress. I told them the truth, exalted one about the accidental vaporization of their young. The elder's multitude of eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of extreme agitation, and did it not occur to you, Zixelnax, that perhaps the truth was not the wisest course of action in this situation? But we always strive for honesty in our dealings with new species, Zipper protested weakly. Another council member, a being composed entirely of pulsating light, chimed in, yes. But usually after we've established our superiority and cowed them into submission. Did you at least remind them of our vast power and technological advancement? Zipper's color shifted to a sickly green. I may have mentioned something about them being primitive. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien exclamations, each more distressed than the last. Silence, the elder's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Once order was restored, they turned their attention back to the unfortunate diplomat. Zixelnax, your blunder may have catastrophic consequences. These humans, what do we know of them? A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the chamber, showcasing various images and data streams about Earth and its inhabitants. The light being spoke up again. Not much, I'm afraid. They were classified as a pre-space flight civilization, barely worth monitoring. Our last thorough scan was several of their centuries ago. The elder's eyes narrowed, and it didn't occur to anyone to perhaps check on them more recently, especially before authorizing a deep scan of their planet. The assembled council members had the good grace to look embarrassed, or at least as embarrassed as a collection of eldritch beings from across the cosmos could look. Well drawled another council member, this one a sentient cloud of gas. Hindsight is 20/20, as the humans might say. The elders shot the gash as being a look that could have frozen a star. Your attempts at humor are not appreciated, G's click. This situation is serious. If these humans are more advanced than we thought, surely they can't be that advanced, Zipper interjected, hope creeping into their voice. They've barely left their own solar system. The elder's response was cut off by a sudden alarm blaring through the chamber. The holographic display in the center flickered and changed, showing a region of space near the human solar system. What in the name of the cosmic egg is that? The gash's counselor exclaimed. The display zoomed in on what appeared to be a massive tear in the fabric of space itself, and from this tear ships were emerging, hundreds of them. Thousands. The elder's voice was barely a whisper. It would appear, my fellow council members, that we may have made a grave miscalculation. As they watched in stunned silence, more and more ships poured out of the spatial rift, ships of designs they had never seen before, bristling with weapons that made their own fleet look like children's toys. Zipper's tentacles were practically tied in knots at this point. But how? Where did they get such technology? The elder's many eyes were fixed on the display, watching as the human fleet continued to emerge. It seems Zixelnax that these humans are far from primitive, and I fear we are about to learn just how unprimitive they truly are. As if on cue, a transmission cut through their communication systems, overriding all security protocols as if they weren't even there. A human face appeared on the screen, the same human that Zipper had spoken to earlier. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice filled the chamber, tinged with a mixture of grim satisfaction and barely contained rage. Attention, Galactic Council. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You killed one of our children. We trusted you to be better than us, to be the advanced civilization you claimed to be. You failed. Now it's time for your education to begin. Lesson 1. Never, ever threaten the human child. The transmission cut off, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. The elder turned to Zipper, all of their eyes narrowing simultaneously. Zixelnax, I believe the humans have a saying for situations like this. What is it again? Ah, yes, you're fired. Back on Earth, in a secure bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Abeo watched the holographic display with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The ancient, Fleet hidden away for centuries, waiting for a moment just like this streamed out of the dimensional pocket where it had been stored. My God, she breathed. I never thought I'd see them outside of history books. Admiral Shen's hologram nodded grimly. The Lazarus Protocol was designed for exactly this kind of situation, Madam President, a threat so significant that it warranted revealing our true capabilities. The President's eyes never left the display, and the pilots, the crews, all AIs. As per the original specifications, Sarah replied, they've been in standby mode, running simulations and updating their tactical databases for centuries. They're more than ready for this. President Abeyo finally tore her gaze away from the fleet to look at Sarah. And you're sure this is necessary? This will change everything. There's no going back once we reveal ourselves like this. Sarah's hologram flickered slightly, her expression hardening. With all due respect, Madam President, they killed a child, our child. Whether they meant to or not doesn't matter. We gave them a chance to be the advanced, benevolent civilization they claimed to be. They failed. Now it's time to show them what humanity is truly capable of. The President nodded slowly. You're right, of course. It's just the implications of this. The tech we're about to reveal. The political fallout here on Earth alone will be manageable. Sarah cut in. We've had contingency plans in place for this reveal for decades. The real question is, are you ready to take humanity's place on the galactic stage? Because after this, there's no more pretending to be a developing civilization. President Abeyo squared her shoulders, a determined glint in her eye. Ready or not? It seems the galaxy has come knocking. It's time we answered the door. She paused, a wry smile tugging at her lips, though I doubt they expected us to answer with a fleet of super weapons. Sarah's hologram grinned back, a predatory gleam in her eye. Oh, I'm counting on it. Now, if you'll excuse me, Madam President, I have a galactic council to educate. As the hologram winked out, President Abeyo turned back to the display, watching as humanity's hidden might unfurled itself across the stars. May whatever gods they believe and have mercy on their souls, she murmured, because we sure as hell won't. In the vast expanse of space aboard the flagship of Earth's newly revealed fleet, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, surveying the armada spread out before her. Each ship was a marvel of engineering, a testament to human ingenuity and the foresight of their ancestors. Admiral, the ship's AI, aptly named Athena, spoke up, all ships report ready. The Galactic Council's home system has been located and plotted, awaiting your command. Sarah nodded, her eyes never leaving the view screen. Thank you, Athena. Open a channel to the fleet. A soft chime indicated that the channel was open. Sarah took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would be heard by every AI and the handful of human operators across the armada. This is Admiral Chen today. We face a threat our ancestors prepared us for but hoped we'd never encounter. The Galactic Council, in their arrogance and negligence, took the life of an innocent child. They thought us primitive, helpless. Today we prove them wrong. She paused, letting her words sink in. But remember, we are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. We are the legacy of every human who dreamed of the stars, who worked tirelessly to ensure that when this day came, we would be ready. Our mission is not vengeance, but justice, not domination, but education. Sarah's voice hardened. The Galactic Council will learn that humanity is not to be trifled with. They will learn that our apparent primitiveness was a choice, not a limitation, and they will learn that the greatest strength of humanity is not our technology, but our capacity for both righteous fury and profound mercy. She allowed herself a small, grim smile. Let's go show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Chen out. As the channel closed, Sarah turned to her exo, a grizzled veteran named Jack Torres. Well, Jack, ready to make history? Jack snorted, a sound somewhere between amusement and anticipation. Born ready admiral. Though I gotta say, when I signed up for the secret space fleet, I half thought it was a joke. Sarah's smile turned dry. Believe me, there were days I wished it was, keeping this secret. It wasn't easy, but our ancestors knew that one day we'd need this. They knew that the galaxy might not be the friendly place we hoped for. Yeah. Well, Jack replied, checking his console. I bet those slimy squid faces are wishing they'd picked on someone their own size right about now. Oh, I intend to make sure of that, Sarah said. Her voice low and dangerous, Athena signaled the fleet. It's time to crash the Galactic Council's party. With a thought, the massive fleet began to move, thousands of ships acting in perfect unison as they accelerated towards their jump point. Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. This was it. The moment humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as newcomers, but as a force to be reckoned with. You know, Jack mused as the stars began to blur around them. I almost feel sorry for them, almost. Sarah's laugh was sharp. Save your sympathy, Jack. Something tells me we're going to need every ounce of righteous anger before I just anger. This is over. As the fleet prepared to jump, Sarah sent up a silent prayer not for victory, but for wisdom. They had the power to reshape the galaxy in their image. The question was, what image would they choose? With a flash of light that momentarily outshone the surrounding stars, the Earth fleet vanished, hurtling towards a confrontation that would change the course of galactic history forever. In the Galactic Council's home system, panic had well and truly set in. Alarms blared across every planet, moon, and space station. Ships frantically maneuvered into defensive positions, their crews trying to make sense of the unprecedented situation. In the heart of it all, in the geometrically impossible chamber that served as the Council's meeting room, chaos reigned supreme. How did we not know about this one? Counselors shrieked, their crystalline form vibrating with distress, and entire fleet of that size. It's impossible! Clearly not draw the gaseous counselor, G's click, as they're about to arrive on our doorstep. The elders' many eyes swiveled, fixing each counselor with a glare that could have curdled dark matter. Your bickering is not helping. We need solutions, not recriminations. Zipper, who had not yet been officially dismissed or vaporized, which they considered a small mercy, spoke optimally, perhaps. Perhaps we could try to communicate with them, offer reparations. The chamber fell silent, all eyes and various sensory organs turning to the unfortunate diplomat. Zipper's tentacles curled in on themselves, a gesture that in human terms might be described as a cringe. The elder spoke, their voice unnaturally calm. Reparations, Zixel Nax. And what, pray tell, do you suggest we offer a species that has just revealed technology beyond our comprehension? Before Zipper could stammer out a response, the chamber was bathed in a blinding light when it faded. The holographic display at the center of the room showed a sight that sent shivers through even the most alieno-physiologies. The human fleet had arrived. It was a breathtaking sight, thousands of ships arranged in a formation that seemed to defy the laws of physics. At the center was a vessel that dwarfed even the Council's largest battlecruisers. Its hull gleamed with another worldly sheen, covered in markings that pulsed with barely, contained energy. By the cosmic egg breathed one of the counselors. What manner of ships are those? As if in answer, a transmission cut through their systems, bypassing every security measure, as if they weren't even there. The face of Admiral Sarah Chen filled the display, her expression a mask of cold fury. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I hope we're not interrupting anything important. Just thought we'd drop by for a little chat about galactic etiquette and the value of young lives." The elder, drawing upon millennia of diplomatic experience, managed to find their voice. "Admiral Chen, we welcome you too. Save it, Sarah. Cut them off. We're not here for pleasantries. We're here for justice and maybe a little education. Lesson 2, Appearances can be deceiving. With a gesture, Sarah's image was replaced by a technical readout of the human fleet. The council members watched in stunned silence as the display showed capabilities that should have been impossible for a primitive species. As you can see, Sarah's voice continued off-screen. "We're not quite as helpless as you assumed. Now here's how this is going to go. You're going to acknowledge your crime against humanity. You're going to make reparations not just to us, but to every species you've wronged with your negligence and arrogance. And then you're going to work with us to create a truly just and equitable galactic community." The gaseous counselor, Jig's clique, couldn't contain themselves. And if we refuse, Sarah's face reappeared, a cold smile on her lips. "I was hoping someone would ask that, Athena, if you would." Before anyone could react, every weapon in the Council's home system simultaneously powered down, ships drifted suddenly without propulsion. Even the artificial gravity in the Council chamber flickered. That, Sarah said quietly, was just a small demonstration, a taste of what we can do. So, esteemed Council, what's it going to be, cooperation or education? The chamber erupted into pandemonium. Counselors argued, pleaded, and in a few cases tried to flee only to find the doors unresponsive through it all. The elder remained silent. There are many eyes fixed on the image of the human admiral. Finally, the elder raised a appendage and silence fell. They spoke, their voice heavy with the weight of a civilization brought low. "Admiral Chen, it seems we have much to discuss and even more to learn. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize for our grievous error. We are at your mercy." Sarah's expression softened just a fraction. Mercy, Counselor, is a very human trait. One I hope you'll come to understand. Now, shall we begin? As the negotiations commenced, Zipper found themselves relegated to a corner of the chamber, forgotten in the grand scheme of things. And yet, as they watched the interplay between the humans and the Council, they couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was the shake-up the galaxy had needed for eons. Months later, on a small, out-of-the-way planet that had recently become the center of galactic attention, a memorial service was held. Humans stood side by side with beings from across the cosmos, all gathered to honor the child whose life had inadvertently changed the course of history. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her uniform crisp, her eyes suspiciously bright. "We gather here today not just to mourn a life cut short, but to celebrate the changes that have come from this tragedy. In the face of loss, humanity revealed itself, not as conquerors, but as teachers, not as vengeful gods, but as stewards of a better future." She paused, looking out over the assembled crowd. Humans mingled with aliens of all descriptions. Former enemies stood as allies. It was a sight that mere months ago would have seemed impossible. To the Galactic Council, we were primitive, barely worth noticing. Now we stand as equals, working together to forge a galaxy of justice and understanding. It's been a hard road with much left to do, but we've made a start. Sarah's gaze fell on a particular group in the front row, the family of the child they were honoring. To the parents of Emily Sato, "Words cannot express our sorrow for your loss, but know this, your daughter's life, brief as it was, has changed the course of galactic history. Her memory will live on in every positive change we make, in every world we help, in every life we save." As she spoke, a holographic image appeared above the gathering. It showed the Earth fleet, but not as instruments of war. Instead, the ships were shown dispersing across the galaxy, bringing aid, technology, and hope to worlds that had long suffered under the Council's negligence. We revealed our hidden strength not to dominate, but to uplift. The fleet, our ancestors built in secret, has become a force for change, for growth, for unity. Emily's law, ratified by the new Galactic Alliance, ensures that no child of any species will ever again fall victim to carelessness or indifference. Sarah's voice grew soft, filled with determination. "We came to the galactic stage ready for war, but hoping for peace. We found a middle ground, a path of firm, just as tempered with compassion. It's not been easy. It won't be easy, but it's a path worth walking." As she concluded her speech, a soft hum filled the air. Thousands of small lights rose from the assembled crowd, a traditional human candlelight vigil adopted and adapted by beings from across the stars. In that moment, as the lights ascended into the darkening sky, there was a sense of unity of purpose, a feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy was on the cusp of a new golden age. And somewhere in whatever afterlife might exist, a child named Emily smiled. Light years away, in a bar on a space station at the edge of known space, two unlikely drinking companions sat nursing their beverages. You know, slurred Zipper, their tentacles wrapped around a glass of something fluorescent. I never thought I'd say this, but those humans, they're not so bad. And Jack Torres, the XO of humanity's flagship, snorted into his beer. High praise indeed, coming from the squid who nearly started a galactic war. Zipper's skin flushed a deep purple. "I said I was sorry. How was I supposed to know you were all?" You know, they waved a tentacle vaguely. Badass, incredibly good-looking. Experts at Hidden Fleet maintenance, Jack supplied helpfully. Terrifying, Zipper finished. Absolutely terrifying. Jack's laugh was loud enough to turn heads at nearby tables. "Oh, buddy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you see what we do at Caro O'Kenite." Zipper's many eyes blinked in confusion. "Caro? Okay." A wicked grin spread across Jack's face. "Oh, my Galatinus friend, you're in for a treat. Athena," he called out to his wrist communicator. "Tell the Admiral we're going to need the emergency sonic dampeners. It's time to show our new allies the true terror of humanity are singing voices." As Zipper watched in a mixture of horror and fascination, Jack began to rally the bar's patrons. Humans and aliens alike were soon clamoring for a chance to screech out lyrics to songs from across the galaxy. And as the first notes of what sounded like a Venusian death metal ballad screeched through the speakers, Zipper couldn't help but think that perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy was in for a wild ride with humanity at the helm. But as they watched Jack attempt to hit a note that could probably shatter a small moon, Zipper decided that some mysteries of humanity were perhaps best left unexplored, at least until they'd had a few more drinks. As the night wore on and the karaoke reached truly apocalyptic levels, Zipper found themselves swept up in the bizarre ritual. They even managed to warble out something resembling a Terran sea shanty, much to the delight or horror of the assembled crowd. In the midst of the chaos, Admiral Sarah Chen made her entrance fashionably late and with an amused smirk playing on her lips. "Having fun, Jack," she called out over the den. Jack, who was in the middle of a passionate, if off-key rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody complete with tentacle air guitar courtesy of Zipper, just grinned and waved her over. Sarah made her way through the crowd, nodding to various beings as she passed. It was a strange sight, humans and aliens, former enemies and new allies, all brought together by the universal language of terrible singing and strong drinks. As she reached the bar, a hush fell over the crowd. Even the karaoke machine seemed to hold its breath. Sarah looked around, her eyebrow raised. "Well, don't stop on my account. I believe it's my turn, isn't it?" The cheer that went up could have been heard in the next star system. As Sarah took the stage, Zipper leaned over to Jackie Ishii. "Is she any good?" But Jack's grin was positively diabolical. "Oh, my tentacle friend, you're about to witness why we humans are the true terrors of the galaxy." The opening notes of a song filled the air, and Sarah Chen, terror of the Galactic Council and hero of humanity, began to sing. It was while calling it singing would be an insult to actual singers across the cosmos. It was more like the mating call of a dying Jovian swamp beast, amplified and set to a jaunty tune. And yet, as Zipper watched in fascinated horror, they noticed something extraordinary. Every human in the bar, regardless of rank or station, joined in. It was a cacophony of epic proportions, a wall of sound that could probably be used as a weapon of mass destruction. But more than that, it was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. As the song reached its ear-splitting crescendo, Zipper felt something they hadn't experienced since this whole ordeal began. Hope. Real, genuine hope for the future of the galaxy. Because any species that could face down an alien armada, revolutionize galactic politics, and then celebrate by subjecting themselves to this auditory torture while they were either completely insane or exactly what the universe needed. Probably both. As the final notes faded away, much to the relief of several species with sensitive hearing, Sarah made her way back to the bar, her face flushed with exertion and laughter. "So, Zipper," she said, clapping the alien on what passed for their shoulder, "what do you think of humanity now?" Zipper's many eyes blinked rapidly, processing the question. Finally, they spoke, their voice filled with a mixture of awe and resignation. "I think, Admiral Chen, that the galaxy doesn't stand a chance." Sarah's laugh was loud and genuine. "Oh, Zipper, you've got it all wrong. The galaxy doesn't stand a chance. No, the galaxy doesn't know how lucky it is." As if to punctuate her statement, the karaoke machine sparked a life once more, this time blaring out the opening notes of "Don't Stop Believing." The resulting cheer nearly blew out the station's atmospheric regulators. And as humanity and its new alien allies launched into yet another round of joyous, terrible singing, Zipper couldn't help but think that perhaps, just perhaps, the Admiral was right. The galaxy didn't know how lucky it was, but it was about to find out. In the grand tapestry of the cosmos, Earth had finally taken its place, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the wild card no one saw coming. A species of contradictions capable of righteous fury and profound mercy, of technological marvels and tone-deaf karaoke. As the party raged on, a message spread across the stars, carried by ships that had once been hidden, now bearing a new purpose. To all the species of the galaxy, buckle up. Humanity has arrived and we're here to stay. Don't worry, we brought snacks. And terrible singing, mostly terrible singing. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, the spirit of a young girl named Emily watched over it all, her laughter echoing through the cosmos. The end. Or perhaps just the beginning.